Is that an executive order, or does that go to the legislature? We formulated those tax bills, everybody.
Well, I know the governor can pull money from some tax to offset that budget, it's formulating it. That's one of the big things in there. The other fees haven't changed since we last spoke. I wanted to highlight fines for the police department. They're a little down from the previous year, but it's still pretty darn active out there. One of our most active ticket writers, he's hired recently. A new officer would probably be active as well. So, agreement with Gilchrist and the escrows. Pretty steady, seems like. We've only billed so far this year for one escrow. And also say how did have some sent back to the state, which will be back to the schools with the other escrow. So we'll be charging them the full rate to off the place of that. It'll double the, well, we're charging on one escrow instead of two. So the full contract amount for that.
So is this budget, is it set for two SROs? So this will be money that we didn't have coming in, that we will have coming in.
Right.
And that is, that 100 something?
So right now, we're projected at 111,000. We'll probably have a little bit more than that for the 1 month, but not a whole lot.
That's going to be a good, I think that's just. Maybe. It's 5.3.
Well, the 137 I have in the column for 2026 is just 2 escrows at 8%. The other 20% doesn't tell we fund.
Okay.
So I do 80 forms, 80 in the general fund, 40 in the other fund. Yep. Then we have miscellaneous stuff. Senior organization, I just highlight that because Jenna has to increase her budget for travel and for taxes. And this shows that the seniors are paying their way because they're on trips. Then reimbursements for hotels and lodging and fees and so forth. So, anything else to say about that? Overall, we're looking at $5.5 million in revenue, slightly up from this last year. I did increase sales tax revenues a little bit, so I looked at a 3-year curve on that. Property tax up a little bit, so those are the main increase. Did not increase much, or I did not budget much at all for that oil and gas service tax. I just 5,000 to keep it so otherwise it would have been higher than that. So there were 5.6 million. So hopefully we're wrong with service tax, that's a good check. Going into expenses, please stop me anytime if you have a question. Legislative, which is you, the board and the mayor, your salaries are broke out between trustees and mayor, but everything else is pretty much the same. Slight increase in dues, and that's for CML.
Compensate for the increase in board and mayor pay.
I did a little bit. You see the next year, 11,850. So I worked with David Green to look at those numbers. We really increased that. Right now, you're at $60 a meeting. The mayor's at $3 something a month. We did look at some adjustments for that. But that only tax half the board, so half the all of that. Do all that.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And I feel comfortable with the Citizen Advisory Committee. He was pretty active this year. Over that, 2019, I need to talk to David Green, talking about his funds, so we'll have to put these back. Yeah, we'll sometimes put stuff in and instead of going to the rec department, they'll come out and do that and stay back with the base. We're pretty set with those. Admin fees. So legislators got the same that. Admin fees, the biggest expense increase we get in all these in October, but consulting and IT expense went up. About 10,000 for the annual maintenance and daily checks. They do monthly reviews of our system. And we continue to try to do that. The new system we installed seems to be working. And then purchasing upgrades. There's some PC replacements, some new licensing we have to do, email monitoring with the new security system installed. So that's the most substantial increase in that from the 23 admin going on. And the computer purchases and the computer consulting is pretty much for all departments. You know, Dave and Carl have a little bit of money for small stuff, but as far as the annual maintenance and review, that's all just admin. We have broken out by department years for each combined. Buildings and grounds, they've kind of held the line for the most part. There's some small increases, so some of our grounds, some of our equipment. As we mentioned last time, we have a lot more mowing done, a lot of maintenance on the right of way. We're going to do some joystick lights around the community senior center this next year, like down the hall, because we have a lot of requests, really dark, especially in winter time. We're seeing activities after hours to get to the dark so early, because it's dark out there, close down the back of the building with a fitness room. So we're going to light that up and probably keep most of the light for the most part, but can't close. Planning and zoning, the ones I highlighted, this is again, zoning inspection, as you saw the revenue coming in, it's good that they're going out as well. More revenue coming in than going out. Because we get our portion of the inspection. And planning services changing the areas, I have both. They do a lot of work, Mike Stoll's doing a lot more work, we simply have more energy to do than we did a few years ago, so the expense to go up. Not a whole lot, but it did go up. Please, the only one I really highlighted was shelters, and Carl, do you have a comment about our contract with Milco?
Sure. So years ago, if we ran an animal up there, it would be $100, a little bit more. Each and every animal that we run up there now is $260 for each and every dog. Which unfortunately we go up there with a couple dogs and that really flies. I mean, it goes sky high really fast. So we went over and they're also allowed to, if a resident lives here and they find one, they can go up there and say that they located it on Main Street in our town. They'll accept it. Kind of a stinking bill, which I don't agree with at all. And I can't see the numbers from this angle, but if we went over, that's absolutely why, and I foresee us going over more. And I think we raised it a little bit. Next year didn't.
We did. We'll probably go about 500.
So if you drop off the animal, all they had to do is go up there and say, hey. This is doing this.
So if you lose an animal and you go up there, then yeah, you can have it back. After I'm sure they'll ask for some kind of money for housing fees or whatever, but you can for sure have it back. But if you locate a lab running in front of your house, in front of the Weld County Humane Society, and say, I saw this dog running at large, or let's say you own that lab and just didn't want it, or you wanted to get rid of it, and you went and surrendered it at Weld County Humane Society, you would give it to them. You wouldn't have to give money to surrender your own dog. Oh yeah, you can use the system. That's what I'm saying. But no, I can't.
So we try to get them to do contract with just us. Not what we promote, but we also tell them if somebody comes in and has me turn a dog and say, that's my dog, they should reimburse it for that.
Yeah.
But they should say that we get that.
So do we get the information from them and just that basic?
Yep, absolutely. And then we'll also make sure that it's registered with the town. So yeah, that's for sure.
Something within existing regulations, something we need to enact.
It's in our code. We established the dog kennel many years ago. As you said, it's our whole, we utilize that as far as I'm owners, we don't have to pay. Weld County Humane Society was taken over basically by Milco, which is out of Logan. And they have a second facility on 34, and they're just going to work out of Logan too.
Yeah. And to offset that, if every night we house an animal here, we charge them $25. So it's not very much, and that kind of offsets just the running of a heat lamp and giving them water and food, but it's offset a little bit anyway, which I.
We all find work.
We try to reunite pets with their owners.
Yeah. You know, we're talking about.
So overall, it's wide increase in fees, across the middle of the line, like individual, ways we'll talk about so public work, same thing, not much to do at all. Very slight. Nothing changes since the last code. Street, they always put a big chunk of money for public works capital items. This last year, we did a lot of street sealing. We're not doing anything big this next year on the books. Then take a year off from doing big projects like the cemetery and Reynolds and Rand and those sort of plants. But still, they would have to put 250 in there as needed for whatever some they can find out. You know, which is not a bad idea. You know, that's basically kind of reserve of the things. So we can still do patching and what we have makes position for that is 75,000. Crack stone remains 50,000. So that's what actually went down a little bit because we don't have a big chip seal project to do. So we're not scheduling our things are that. Sanitation, no change there.
Do you have enough ice available?
That's kind of a loaded question, but for the most part, yes, I've got a little bit of funding left in this year's budget that if we have a significant event or two that before the end of the year, I could probably get some more ordered before the end of the year. But we did stock up when they were offering a 20 or 22% early season discount. It's bulk. Yep. Yeah, we typically order 25 ton at a time in just a tandem.
Sanitation, no change since the last code. David commented, I mean, even our fall things are a little bit down than what we did before. We have less dumpsters, it's really small. So we'll cut that up conversation next time. We do a full fall things again, or we could like to get them. Spring's pretty active, obviously. So I like to keep the town cleaned up with that. If they get tired of seeing furniture and mattresses and stuff, they stuff that way. Best environment for sure.
With that fall, we have that before to do that fall. Your way we push it back.
It's guessing game.
I mean, it's a guessing game, but you know, there's trying to pass. I think it's in that week in October, but after that happened, all the leaves go off. They got filed.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, we've tried a couple of different things over the years to, you know, we a year or two ago, we opened up the 3 Fridays in October and 1 in November. Maybe it was 2 in October and 2 in November, where we were open on Friday afternoons and just had one person over there so people could just bring their leaves and yard debris was it. And we had a few people that took advantage of that, and we had a few people that just whined and complained that they couldn't believe they had to take off on a Friday afternoon to come dump their leaves and that kind of thing. So, you know, I'm not sure what the best scenario, and it's.
You can do a 1-day fall cleanup and then the rest of the Friday, October, just open up for the students. Okay. And the guy's already here on Friday.
Yeah, and that was, no, it was a full cleanup. It's trash and everything for that Friday, Saturday. But yeah.
I was looking at him.
And we can do both. That comes back pretty easily.
Right.
I like leaving one because in August and September, I tried to have our code officer give out warnings on these trees. I don't know if that's because that's after cost to pull it off. If we get into the fall street, they can all sell that question, actually, the expense has come down a little bit because they try to active bill if they have this, and none of your PNC, but, they really look at it quite closely. I had somebody, by the way, I had somebody, did a traffic, they got a hold of me earlier this week. Their trucks have cameras, so when they go down the street, they're filming everything. So they can go back and review and say, well, it wasn't out, or it was out, or whatever, so I kind of like that. Listen, they got, I'm the guy, they got ring on their back, cars pretty much on the line, exactly on the line, no change there. Regs and seniors, slight increase, Jen talked to board about that, nominal and regs, nominal and seniors. We did finally, after a substantial amount of time, hire a part-time rep coordinator 30 hours a week. He started technically yesterday, but he's planning time off with the holiday, so it should be working solely on youth and adult programming. I'm gonna have Dan talk about that if he's not available, so I'll mention it. I'll have the reports to you this afternoon. Yeah, nice woman. She's very active in sports and all the kids with the program. Not here, but elsewhere. The Historical Society, comment on that one. Mr. Crowley, he's been with us for all these years, so he's officially retired on Saturday. Glenn has a couple of volunteers, but without Bill hiring, or basically getting someone else, I'm not probably going to be able to maintain 3 days a week out there, so Glenn's going to reach out to a couple of others to see if I'll help pick up. We may do a Wednesday, Saturday, because it's Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, but we'll let you know that. The agreement is in your packet before we know what we'll talk about here, over the Historical Society and what we have to. It's actually done way more, or way better than I anticipated. We're looking at about 5.8 in anticipated expenditures. It's a deficit. We had that water line that held over the last year, February 19. That's the biggest difference. Otherwise, we have this on the balance.
That hasn't occurred yet.
Nope. I talked to Dustin Baker. I don't know if he reached out to you, but a month ago. He sent me a quick email, so he's still working with his engineer Central, Aaron.
No, Darren's their ops foreman,
Somebody in there, Central.
Josh Cook.
Dr. Cook on the design, the design's one thing, but what they're trying to do, and I don't blame them, is to save a lot of installation costs, because he has to do that. So trying to convince them to let him do it for their specs, save costs, and do the contract with us. So that's what I'm saying. They're still going full board. Their election, I think, went well. In November, they have a metro district now, but they're not impact us, they're only impact the property if they own all the lots right now.
So that money, is that's in there?
Yeah, I'm gonna go back, because I forgot this. So back in planning and zoning. Development investment, there's $1.1 million.
Now,
That's not how that's.
yes, that waiver for property. That then exercise.
No, because they're not gonna run yet. I don't anticipate that for the final year.
Building sector, take that for 26.
No, I don't. It might, some of them might, because they're not gonna be fully operational for what, March, April? Probably.
Well, they're about 6 weeks behind on their electric that they got today that they were supposed to have the first October. So they were originally thinking most of their testing mid-January, so probably mid-February to March.
Their big expansion, I don't believe was fully assessed during the audit review by Will County. So, because there was no way it could have been. So I think the biggest impact would be 27.
That could be.
Do that anticipating a portion, only portion, the third part of that. Okay. That's up to Josh Evans to submit that reimbursement from the town, and I'll review it and give it to the board. The only transfer you ever do is harvest stage one. We used to have a contingency in this section, but we don't. We can work with it for 2 years. This year, I'm gonna have David do $2,000 contingency this week. Library, not gonna go over, no changes to Naomi.
I had a question.
The library district fund, how is that collected? By what mechanism?
So what the library district does is they send Naomi an email with the portion from district and metro district, have them under, they collect all that revenue. And then they have a formula which I can't explain. But then they send out basically formula total to all the libraries in the district, and this is what we typically see in the year. That's how it is.
How, where is it collected? Where do I pay?
We don't. Everybody else in the library district does. We don't because we have the agreement where we give them 1 mil for property tax. So we as citizens don't pay, well, I think. That's why. Yeah, look at property tax. Nope. So in here, you'll see the property tax above the 59,856, that's all 1 mil that we donate to give them. And then the 1.278 million comes from the district and stuff. That's how that works. Yeah, good question, because not we all know that. That loan deal credit, nothing changed there. Cemetery, the biggest change I highlighted is increasing the lease against the water fund is to maintain the cemetery. Unless we can find some other revenue out of there. We're gonna talk about cost for the new position next, at the December 16th meeting, so that's something that we just talked about, but right now, we have the budget the same. Excuse me. Expenses pretty much over the line across the board, slight increase in our grounds. Not a lot of change there. What is the mowing contract come to ourselves?
I think we just went into our next 3-year last year with them.
Oh, you're doing multi-year now.
Oh, okay. No, we got 2 to 3 years. Which is good for everybody because we have consistency and they know how to budget and just put in that.
How do we do that? Because we're supposed to be only not municipal over a year.
Well,
Some kind of
The contract is attorney approved and it can be written provided the board allocates the funding for the following year.
You don't allocate money to the project.
But basically, in January, once the new budget is approved, we sign an updated version for 2026.
Any multi-year contract, we can have it, always have to have that language where it's a board approval every year.
and these companies.
They understand that to get the 3-year deal for us to say we'll work with them for 3 years, they take that chance that the board won't have the money or isn't willing to spend the money to do that, but they also know I don't plan on trying to buy mowers and go to do it, so.
I don't know what we're gonna do. We're still using the annual renewals and bidding them out, but it's. Years ago, we also talked about bidding out contract staff every year, but please, this thing need multi-year, work for some projects. Conservation Trust Fund, that's a lot of money, that's allocation by the state. Based on population, so looking what population, the probably grows, that money pretty much stays the same every year. Restricted on how it can be used for parks and Free City USA, so that's where the money goes. We budgeted a little bit this year just for some matching grant for pickleball court Jackson, get that done. And Bigfoot out here is going to redo both team fields. We thought we could get it done this year, but we ran out of time. The advanced police has to do one instead of the spring. Both infields are really dusty now. They don't stabilize and maintain back, so it's been a long time. I think it's been great for the board to do. Try to never find it. We're in the yeah, we did. LE funds, Carlton overall needs, we got an increase in our dispatch, residual revenues. Gilchrist is a 3.5% annual increase in the contract, whether those or not. So depending on the salary conversation, we're going to reach back out with Jeff Bloomer and have a discussion about a contract. At least next week.
Did think you were gonna have a down there.
Yeah, she reached out, called, this week, I think it's been all about that.
No, I haven't heard back as to when she'd like to meet, but,
You did inquire though, about the contract.
yeah.
You haven't heard any of that. Expenditure, the biggest impact in their dispatch fees probably is given an allocation by Wells County, to all the agencies did the allocation and not, it's non-negotiable. Look at the, that first big call.
Yeah, very.
We did budget for the final station design, we talked about that last month. Real quick, I had a meeting with Crystal May last week. He told me to submit a letter to him next month, and they're trying to point this in $25,000 to offer the grant. We talked about going after a $200,000 tier 2 grant, but he said, say that request to go after your TV request. He said, he did do some research. And if it goes under 5,000 square foot, it does not require any big requirement. So if we get a grant, we get all the money. That means it's part of it, it'll be energy efficient. It's gonna be energy efficient anyway. It's gonna be efficient by that. So that's a positive. We're gonna talk about that next month as well. We were gonna walk through the town hall and see the TV tonight because of this space that's on tap next month. And nothing else really in there. There's a pretty good reserve, 350,000 built up to LE fund, so at some point we need to use some of that, which is what we're doing this next week, about. Harvest Day, the golf permit still remains strong. We get a lot of teams, because most of the old sponsors, $10,000 sponsorship. Awesome still gives us $8,000 the last few years for fireworks, for all the fireworks costs. They could do other donations, so it's better than it has been. It's going back up. Capital improvement fund. Staying pretty, I increased revenue a little bit, if I can do general fund because of the sales side. The only project real quick is, CDBG grant to make the park, that's a pass through. I have to show expenses with the money, 100% will come in from, Will County when it gets built. The check just came in for the AV park improvements that we did this year. That's been received in. We put money aside, actually, that's the revenue coming in. These are expenses coming in, the sidewalk fees, and use tax fees, place facilities. These are estimations just to get those from it. And then earnings on investments are still pretty high, it's about 5%. 1.3 million. So all the expenses, their capacity, 375. I increased it a little bit. There's always some additional expense that we have to pay. Usually, project management. 25,000 we take, town interest fines, we can talk about that. On December 2nd, Lindsay comes to town, some areas of school for associates, we're gonna do site visits on the areas that we're gonna put this on. And then we'll have a proposal for that to the board to see. Take part of the mowing out of this for parks. So it's budgeted 100,000 maintenance for sidewalks. And 60,000 for the backup generator. We bought this year, we'll install next year, right? 85,000, that's the engineering, permitting, and surveying that we use on Main Street. Directors getting a kind of high-end, that takes about 6 to 9 months to be done. That's the engineer. Main Street, see that right away. And then 50,000 for, I just put that as a placeholder, if we get the process all done, we would have some costs to cover the thing next year. But I don't know exactly what that is. And that's other parts. As you can see, the capital improvement plan, we're building up a pretty good reserve. There's about 1.5 that'll be available, that's unrestricted. We bring in about $1 million every year anyway. Transportation, the capital improvement fund is a 1% sales tax plus these other fees, transportation, impact, road maintenance, impact, parking impact, once the facilities, sidewalk fees. Oversized overweight don't have to be always every time anymore, so that's pretty limited. But it's a combination of multiple revenues, not just one. That's what they say. Years ago, these used to all have their own separate sections in that budget. It makes me consolidate into one. It's all similar types of stuff. Sewer, another 6% increase off of their cost. I think in a couple of years, based on the analysis EDC, we'll eventually go back down to 203, maybe next year. I'll take a look at that. There is another 6% increase. Expenses, we are with all these, I didn't highlight anything from what we changed we talked about last time. The biggest increase, we have a debt, the reason being is they were putting in a big slip line project and capital outlay for sewer line replacement, and we want to do that as a tenant to the most part.
So did the slip lining, is that,
We doing divisions like this,
I can't see the numbers. What do I have up there?
it's 200,000. The normal.
Well, yeah, I mean, depending on how much of division, we could spend 300 on division pretty easy. So,
division's the weak point?
there's lots of weak points, so that's.
Next month in May is did the analysis of lift station and the climate rate. So that possibility. So, quick story is we have capacity in the line, our lift station in the line. The high-end estimation, we want to make sure that line's improved to maintain that. We can gravity flow everything from that corner that Rick pretty owns and a little bit more. But the rest of that goes back to rest up. But that conversation still. And then our loan payment, we break it out to interest and principal, that's how we get charged, so that's just about $292,000 a year. Paid every May, November, twice a year. The sewer fund on the balance is pretty good, you can see those numbers, about just under that $1.8 million and so you took the whole loan. Water fund, we have, what the notes out there, there it is, 17% increase. So this is the first 4 years, right, David?
I think so.
We're paying off 100% increase in the what kind of water. The reason it's not 25% is state and analysis, and you don't have to increase the entire fund 25%. Portion of it off at the top. So that's what it says.
That will offset,
Yeah. And it has to walk.
Well, they are in the process of going through a financial study, a fee study through Rattalis or somebody like
Yeah.
that right now. So, but yeah, two years ago, they sent us a letter that said you'll be looking at a 20% increase for the next 5 years, 100% increase within 5 years.
Between upkeep and consumption, that's the majority of it, it's about 1.4 million. And this number right here is purchase and delivery, 582. Okay, explain that we want to pay our capacity cost of central, but we also have to do our own maintenance on our system and build up some new roads, so that's why that number is there. We can't budget that way. Gotta have money to fix one in the family. So the answer is yes. Why does it cost more? Why does it cost more? But capital outlays, we always put in to replace orders. We'll work with David with tractors next year to start doing, like Stevie and I talked about offline, is an old town, something we're gonna start block by block or see like information of those lines. I would think so. So we're gonna start working on that analysis to see what's going to.
As a side note, David, do you guys ever do testing to see block by block in Old Town, how much
of pressure loss there is because of scaling in the line or something like that.
We have not.
Have we had complaints about low water pressure?
Since I got here 17 years ago.
The answer is every-
We get a few here and there, you know, once in a while. All of the meters have a plastic filter on them, just to keep any major debris out of the spinning mechanism, the magnet mechanism that's in the meter. Once in a while, and it's not very often, but once in a great while, we'll get a piece of rust or scaling or debris that will get up against one of those meter filters and slow it down in somebody's home enough that they're like, hey, something's going on, we don't have enough. Now, I joke about the fact that we know when the master meter opens and when the master meter closes, because your sprinklers go all the way to the sidewalk and then they only go halfway across the yard. You know, I mean, it's just, that's been the story of our lives here in Platteville for a long, long time. So that's where I'm joking about, yes, I've been getting the low pressure. For the most part, we don't. People are pretty used to the somewhere between 47 and 62 pounds of pressure that we deliver consistently throughout town. And by law, we have to deliver at least 20 pounds. So
And I guess the evidence of scaling or partial plugging in the pipes itself would be that not that the pressure is diminished, but the volume. Or the pressure diminishes with the volume.
it's kind of a hand-in-hand type thing.
And so you don't
And-
hear much about that.
Not really. So, but I mean, yeah, as Troy said, though, we do need to start to evaluate. Some areas of our system are 70+ years old.
Yeah, because there really is no way. Is there a test mechanism that can test those lines if they're doing what they should be doing? So we know whether we need to win or replace them?
I'm sure there probably is. I don't know what it is off the top of my head or what the expense to do that would be.
Like a true line from TV and the water line can't do that. So there has to be something like that. But other than wait for them to. No, to conclude, the sewer and water funds remain pretty stable, better than they have been for years. A lot of that has to do with that increased costs of their bills, but also build up infrastructure money so we can actually do projects. I don't want to be a town that's just enough to pay our bills for service providers because that's very dangerous. Lines go down, never know the pay. You have to go out to debt service, and you know where you pay for debt service. So that's one too. Those are enterprise stuff. So, I'm anticipating a half-hour review. We have to do questions that took a little bit longer, but that's our general fund, our rest special revenue and expenses, our enterprise funds. So, for you, before you go on December 2nd, the other item I had is for the conversation tonight. And I explained it in my 2-page memo to the board, was the salary survey, and done it for, I think, a year or two. I explained it, I'll summarize. I looked at comparable towns in that area on the 85 corridor that provide similar services, the same size as we are. Once you get past Platteville population around 3,100, you go up to 16,000. You don't find somebody close to above it. You find some of the south, person has been. I also looked at Paul and Keith Ray, just gonna have time to add them, but they're getting bigger and bigger. Thanks more amenities out there. I think also, and I think that's what gives me excuse for us or something.
Sorry, what?
What does it get from you, so?
They just, was it yeah, they got one of those and then they're getting a raceway out there too.
Oh, Vandermeer.
Yeah, which is gonna be a huge revenue maker for them.
They're getting comparable now, but they'll probably pass it in those people. I think it even in Fort Lauderdale because they're our competitors for employee loss time because talking to them from left for Fort Lauderdale, not from that. I want to give this to you last week to get your thoughts on it, and I know it's plain. It's not an argument point, it's not my intention. I'll forgive you, Steve, that showed all the employees we have, and like I said, it dawned on me, we have a lot of people out there, a lot of people. Very true, and you can get that sometimes. But to be blunt, this is just the fact that we deal with. And right now, the budget has a 2.9% COLA, which is what we policy several years ago, Larry brought that up, very thought. And we follow that, and then once the COLA, we look at a merit. If you have a stable budget, we've done that for a few years. Typically, within the COLA merit, we do stable, sometimes 5% of the COLA. And another agency, and I mentioned the South Pacific, we keep giving 10, 12%, depending on what they're, I don't know how they can do that. I got the, we budget for salaries currently what they budget their entire general fund. So our budget is twice, twice the minimum report. Maybe that's it. But what's your thoughts on this? This is a proposal. I've done over the years as town manager that Mike did several times with Adrian. Make a proposal, present to us, you guys discuss with us, staff, and go from there. So that's my son.
I thought on this, or I have gone through so much brain damage over this pay thing through the years that I am not going to fight this. I'm not going to argue about it. The only thing I'm going to say is it has to be covered in the budget. It needs to be found in the budget. If you have to cut spending in one area or another to cover this, that's what it's going to have to be. Because that's my only contention. I will not approve this.
I completely agree with that. My comment to that is, for the last 17 years, we built a very solid budget. I mean, we talked about this years ago, some of you know the thing, but we don't seem like it was down there. In 2009, we had about 200,000, 225,000 surplus. And now we have over 5 million. We built a pretty stable budget by doing certain things and certain spending. Look at our projects up there. We rattle off multi-million-dollar projects we've done over the years. Most of them take a cash. But I agree with Steve, I'm not going to jeopardize the budget.
If you can cover it in the budget, I'm not going to.
I've had this ways problem, man, and if we still with the right part, might say, but brag about your budget, town manager, what about us? I get it. I get it. I understand you for this. I'm bored of learning something else.
That's an idea I'd like to talk about with possibly.
Yes.
Pay increase. I don't object to basic finding, it's an alternative idea that is granting the full amount of those increases on the first of the year. Look at the math of giving out half of that on the first of the year and the other half on the 1st of July. It reduces the total amount of increased wages that you'll pay in the calendar year of 26. But if after July 1st, those increases that you propose will all be 100% in place.
There's people are paid for it.
Exactly.
That's
I just tossed that idea out as just food for thought and a way to, you would save some money in the course of that as well.
you know, we'll see how your budget stands and everything.
Well, there's that as well. So as you get closer to the 1st of July, you can review the second half of that, either adjust it accordingly or leave it as designed.
I think that was the merit process there, because if you want to get more of the perform better as a whole, we're proposing in the market, to get up to where we need to be, and then some of the, and now, for example, they did 12, and then they did a 4% basically merit or debt based on performance. So, yes, I agree with that. But, yeah, we like the merit process, because Be blunt, every organization has employees that come in, do the job, and then go home, they're on time. I just don't say, well, that's good. That's just what it is. Yeah. Upward, what was our merit last year? We did a 4% total for whatever the poll was, but I think it was pretty close, right? 2.9, that's 1 point. Something like that. I have to look back at my, but total was 4. I looked at 2.9, when I talked to Gail, so they do the Denver, almost the Denver metric, and it's 2.1. We do the federal security. That's not all. That's why we implement it. Another way to handle this would be, because it's gonna be, that would take the budget up to about, what, 5.8 or 9? Okay, so I think we're going into this budget 200,000. As it is. Because that water line primarily there. Right. So, I think we don't have, because we are very limited. I was proposing rescinding that water line subsidy and we formulated the tax waiver on that particular project. And formulate that to change our revenue structure so that we can cover it. That's where
I don't.
So we make it. It's good to say that now. I don't know why we shouldn't, but, this is money we need. This is money we need. And if we're gonna give it to the employees, we need to substantially increase our revenue stream or do some significant stuff. And this would be one way of thinking about it.
Isn't a portion of that water line gonna be reimbursed by the developers?
Our commitment is $225.
They're gonna reimburse it all.
They're gonna reimburse all of it minus $325.
Right.
Because we have a contract with, like with the broadband agreement that the mayor had already signed, we had a contract with them, so they're gonna build it. They're gonna build it.
But there's benefits that come of for allowing or aiding in the development of property. Long-term benefits that come to the town. One could argue it pays for itself over time.
Future development, we talked about that.
So to rescind, go back on an agreement that we've already made, I think is a poorly advised path.
These other topics we can talk about, but I also want to add in this current budget, we have, I looked at, we have close to 350,000 of capital project money that we're not expending, 250,000 alone, so we don't have a budget to find for, so they do things that way just to make sure that we don't go over budget. The money's there. We would basically reallocate it this year. The general fund won't pull money. We just earmark it. That's it. So then in to the fund, to the general fund, and it all balances out, all through the one.
I think potential increase for a lot of that, I still find like the process we had there before, there's one to pull up and the merit increases. We have the money in the bill with the extra funds they're feeling, if you said, it will be useful once for finance and beating us down. Well, sure, on that aspect. And my other issue is that I don't think decent or busted husband, even comparable to the project. Here, they have more amenities, more growth, and they really surpass Mine is Hudson, I don't know why. That's blowing up there, but Jersey, LaSalle, like Kingsbury, be more, like a variable rate.
Yeah.
In all, but they're more cottage towns, we have to have growth. I mean, we got some industrial growth and spread out, and it's gonna get so, I think we have to generate that revenue. I would be willing to reevaluate this proposal again next year, but I mean, I still think that the increase the COLA and then the merit base raise is substantial. And what would you consider from merit base for everything?
We don't have a merit built in.
Right. Because you've already built in your 6.9.
Superman built in, and the reason I bring this up, they realize that we're getting fucking above the house.
Yeah.
So if we never try to get top all at once, it's way too and I'm just throwing that out, I'm not trying to do it down.
No, I mean, 45% merit base still.
Basically, what Larry's doing is about half of what the city proposed, a little more. Larry did half now and half.
Half now and half
Oh,
later.
yeah.
Or just a comment about that. These COLA numbers that we use, those are, there are one of about a half a dozen different figures that come out from various agencies, state and federal. And the one we've used the last few years is the most conservative, the smallest of all of them. So the point is true that we fall further and further behind. Because the 2.9 realistically is not an accurate reflection of the increase in inflation in the last 12 months or even in the last 6. So with that in mind, if you're trying to keep salaries from falling further behind, the merit portion of the pay adjustment is to be larger addition to the C9, somewhere in the 5 to 6 range. In addition in total.
Well, and last year we did. What total is merit total?
You don't now to lose people, employees for reasons of salary. It's a costly proposition. Hiring somebody new, training them, the lost productivity that you have at any portal times. Sometimes that involves more overtime for the employees to stick around. Retention of employees is if you fail to address that properly, it can get expensive. So keeping their salaries competitive, guards against people who can blame them. I can go and do the same job 4 miles from here for 30% more money. Why wouldn't I go?
Yeah.
And
And it's not on disagree with you, I mean, your employee retention is definitely important there, but, that's my opinion, Harris opinion on that. Is not my opinion accurate, like that.
that is true, but at the same time,
So like Kingsbury, their manager is 161,000, their public works director is 94, and then 3,000. How it works, I think like 74. So I think on those aspects, it's still pretty comparative to the pound of this economy and size. We are growing, but not quite Off down, off that.
If you live or don't walk, they're trying to find the correct balance between
Yeah,
where we are and where we should be, and frankly, where the competition is. Competition being other towns that will be looking to hire similar job. So it's, you're going,
we don't disagree, it's a hard subject, I mean, it's tough, but appreciate it, because down, that was great, but it, all the big look, I mean, everything we got to do, is great, so I gotta look at the fact that I think we're gonna be spending things on these police departments, still maintaining the balance of the infrastructure as well, if you have the funds. Get the extra funds, I guess, I think the town would appreciate seeing that going back into the town, and not that you guys aren't investing, by any means, but, that's what I really stated, I think we are comparable, they're competitive, with an increase, I'm not denying an increase at all, but I think the increase. What did you?
it's always be self-employed, but it's
Have a motion, we go over it. And basically, dollars you spend. So I've heard that, you know, COLA, point nine COLA, but I've heard a total of 5-6% going out there with the merit raise. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to propose? Well,
That's why I'm here, so whenever I get a moment. Yep.
very good. All right. With the raise,
two days.
But, you know,
you don't pay in the first 6 months, stays with you.
pay it out.
Well, you're in the other, hand. But, that the total amount of increased salary would be less the course of the year. If you did half of it first of the year and the other half the first of July.
Would you expect it to, just say go back to the better, like, yeah, the first half, beginning of the year, is on, something to avoid it. Like the marriage, get the other half,
Well,
the things that they're having.
you're adding two different components into the same question. So if you put in the merit raise as a separate quantity and start that first of the year, that's one thing. Or when you split that in half too.
So, what I say is your theory or your proposal of doing half up front, doing that raise half up front, and then after 6 months, reevaluate the other half based on merit. That's,
Well, no, you would,
I think that
yeah, it's based on the current budget status at the mid-year point.
okay,
You know, whether or not,
but we have the amount to get the other half.
for instance, that extra money that's allotted to capital improvement fund, but isn't allocated to any specific project, that may get spent between now and the mid-year point, and may not. But if it doesn't, then it makes, given the second half of the pay raises,
I just want to see the incentive not to spend. We pay to go there. I know I'm stretching that, you send it, it's the town function. But it is, you're guaranteed to have, you know, maybe I'm good now, the weeds, field, stuff on that.
I think it's too complicated.
Yeah.
You just do it. I don't think there's a reason fooling around if you just do it. The way you tell them they're gonna do this. Like that.
So, that means that we have the COLA fixed in the budget. So we're debating the merit of bring it to a total of 6%.
Please do. Let's include that. Now, you want me to stand up there?
Please.
Okay, so I have two hats here, right? I'm an employee here, I'm your deputy court clerk, and I've been here for 2 years. And I am a resident of Platteville that I love very much, and I am all about this. So my opinion is what Nick has said also. You look at those numbers, those are some big numbers. I was quite taken back by what some of these, the salaries are for some of this stuff. And like you said, there's that many, you know, 2 times, 3 times. I work in the office every day. I know how it runs, the functions of it. I don't know everybody's job and all those details. But I agree with, we need to, I don't think we're worried about losing people that have been here for a while. You were talking about losing people, that they're gonna go find other jobs somewhere else. I don't think that's a problem with some of the positions, because I think they already are compensated and make incredible, you know, money. I don't see a problem with that. But like with our police, since I just looked over here, I think money is more for the police officers, because to me, being I was a cop for 15 years, so that is dear to my heart, and I know that they risk every day, families and their lives. To me, that is something that should be increased. I agree with the office staff that, I have 15 years of experience. I am passionate about what I do. I love what I do. I go above and beyond every single day for the people of this town. And when you try, I just don't think that sheet is a very good comparison for, I looked at that and those numbers just really don't mean anything to me, and they don't really discuss a lot. So that's just kind of what I wanted to say. I needed to get it off of my chest as a Platteville resident. And I wish, I can see now, I lived in Fullerton and Westminster my whole life. I can see that, people's wages weren't determined by a board because they're bigger. But now I can see how important a board is to wages and how things are taken care of in the town. And I am here to stay. I am not going anywhere. And, that's what I wanted to say. I'm very passionate. I volunteer. I will do whatever it takes to have this town flourish. And I think you could talk to, any people who come through that front door. I always go above and beyond for them. And I think that is our job, is to take care of the residents of Platteville that pay our week. So, and the whole merit thing, I think that makes sense to me. And that's how the real world, I think that's where I came from. So this is a big adjustment for me, is if you don't perform, then you just kind of stay where you're at. But if you put in the effort and you go above and beyond and work for that money, I think that should be recognized. So, there's my 2 cents. If anybody ever has questions, or I am here to help whoever walks through that door or gives me a call. I feel much better that I got that off my chest.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Your opinion, for that, how you call.
So,
Want to point out a couple of examples. Every department of class gets to. When they advertise, almost call part-time, they advertise for police officers this week. Half dozen agencies won't pay that type of food. Minimum is 10 to 15,000 more a year, but how do we get applications? We don't. It was day before it worked. Same story. I'm a little bit more comparable to front office because it's all third floor, we all, administration. Not all, but there's still some special needs that need to be met with finance and stores and clerk, and utilities. So, as a town manager, I'm gonna voice my opinion that the survey, yeah, Fort Love and Eaton aren't comparable as far as size, or they offer more, but that's who we lose people to. I just want to point that out. You know, I mentioned Kersey and LaSalle and Betsy. Hudson is comparable, whether you like it or not. They just had, they and Dakota went through a horrible time the last couple of years. And they had a little money that they didn't have, that people just themselves apply. I don't want to get in that way. But getting, this is a market, I appreciate Ronnie's comment. But this is a market analysis, not personal, not looking at people, not saying Carlton Wire is not and saying the police chief is not known, because he deserves it. He's been here 21 years. The court work director has been here 17 plus years. We have other employees that are 1, 2, 3 years. I want them to get to that point too. So you have to pay them to reach that point. Not everybody like me that will reach my family basically walk away. I'm an auditor. I'm an auditor. But yeah, don't comment on that. But, you know, to be blunt and direct, I don't want to feel like I need to take advantage of this, you know, I don't want to leave. Don't pay me less because of that. Pay me because I'm the longest tenured town manager of Will County in one place. That's a fact. And I've got other people here that have made that commitment. Other people that are coming in, I want them to see if we have a way to get to them, my goal is that we can get where we are too. Don't leave because you need another. We lost an escrow to Milliken last year because it paid $10,000 more. You needed that. I hate losing people like that. Okay? So that's my argument. And Nick, I agree with you. But my argument is our budget is built the way that we can sustain this increase. And we can still build a police station, we are playing wastewater plant. We keep capital money aside from operations for that purpose. But we've been using operational money for capital projects because we have that surplus. That's my point. So why don't we actually use the operational money for where it needs to go and allocate capital for different ones? Can you modify the budget with all of this? Yep. So we have a balanced budget. You remember the day back in the years ago I had to say, how do I do it? You're talking about going with the market. I'm proposing the market adjustment, either all or paid like Mr., at least paid by the end of the year, the market adjustment is in the next week. The employee may not get the whole amount of money. And Mr. Nelson said, do the whole thing. I respect that. I'm not throwing this out there thinking it's unrealistic. I think it's realistic. A police officer, I'm marketing around 12 to 15%, honestly. There's no percentages out there, so I don't know if I can in a week. But police officers are the ones that have the biggest increase. Everyone else is 7 to 10 roughly. You know, but I looked at the increase, but I don't want that to be a talking point because they say, well, you're going to get 7 and get 8. No, that's not the conversation about. This is a market analysis, not personal. Years ago, when I started, Nick Meyer was the town manager. When they hired me as police chief, they let someone else feel they was being paid much more money, but they thought it was going to be for less. That's the philosophy at the time. You let a 20-year town clerk go, for example, got paid $9,000, you hire a rookie town clerk for $75,000, hire her. No, don't do that. You keep going backwards in time. That's what we used to do. We haven't done that since. Keep going forward. When Jeanette retires, we can that's right here. If she does retire, I want to hire someone and pay her the wage the next day. Unless there's something that person doesn't have. That way you don't get backwards. You keep going forward. So that's what they'll say.
Just for the record, are we, is coming to a final decision tonight about the
Well,
Hey,
what we're gonna do is we're gonna give it back to them. If we decide we're gonna go with the market adjustment proposal, we're gonna have to take a budget on it. And I think we'd like to see adjustment made to the budget, then we make it, have it be proposed. And honestly, my feeling on things is, you know, town manager propose to us what you want to pay the people, how you're gonna pay it, give us a balanced budget. You know, that would be the way I think it should operate. Honestly, we're here to prove the budget, and we're here to run the town.
You've always done more. You've always been that way to me, where you're very faulted by mayor, and I like that fact, because the first email out of it. Because that's the way it comes to yourself. Won't look at me, yeah, talk to me, your town manager, but, everyone, our current position is doing a performance. You like it? Yes, of course, it's personal. You can't help it, it's personal. But it probably needs tomorrow to hire someone that has qualifications, but he's not doing well. And pay him that amount of money, I'm not gonna pay him that. Not gonna happen.
That's always been my opinion of how it should operate, you know, I think it operates that way in the other municipalities, larger municipalities. The manager gives them their budget, and that includes the wages they're gonna pay. And every year we sit here and discuss how much we're gonna do wages wise, and then under the city, years past, Steve can attest to that. In years past, it has been a knockdown, brawl out, fight. And I don't wanna see that. I mean, I'm not saying that the manager has carte blanche to pay people whatever they want. I mean, we're still gonna question. We still need to question. But I would like to see it more in the form of the manager's gonna tell us what they think they need to pay for people. And we can discuss it with him, we can put our expense in, but at the end of the day, there's gonna be yay or nay from the board.
that question will come to the board in the first Tuesday of December. Is the way you feel?
That's the way I think it should operate, honestly. I don't think that, I mean, everything else is just proposed to us. This is what we want to do, this is what the town manager wants to do, this is what the public works manager wants to do, this is what the city wants to do. And we need to look at it and say, well, you know what, you're going $400,000 over budget. We're not happy with that, figure it out.
And my great point is that been done a little bit. And I was there with the department, I said, well, we can do that after Thanksgiving, we got it. I remember that. And I'm not trying to be selfish by any means, but the numbers don't lie. I even commented to my members of the board, especially during those COVID years, where being a high cost of living, 8, 9, 10%. I thought, man, we're getting caught up. No, we weren't. This time was doing that plus giving more. I mean, Hudson, I don't know, wouldn't know anybody in Hudson anymore, but when they told me, I give that example in my board report, the contract planner would be acting town manager, they couldn't find anybody to put the feet. They're so volatile today. We're not volatile. We're folks, but they're supporting us. We can talk. I haven't just dialogue right now. Nobody's screaming me off. You know, we can agree to disagree. That's part of the democracy process that we have. But at the end of the day, you're right, Mayor. You give me direction, I'll follow that direction.
That is the direction I would, and I would say that if you were the mayor, I would give you what you want. And the board can disagree with me. I'm not a dictator. But that would be my proposal. Does anybody have any issues with that? Want to throw their 2 cents worth in? Troy's doing this every year, you know, I don't think that.
This is the most painless one I've experienced.
Yeah.
And this is the most expensive one I've said. I just want controversy because no matter what happens, half of the people are mad. And there's grudges and everything. This way, the town manager is gonna be happy and all the employees are gonna be happy. If we make the budget fit, I'll be happy. I don't care what it is. But
It's our duty to make sure the town needs to function and has the money. So, Troy, my opinion, give us your budget, make it work. I'd like to see it balanced. I know you've got that 300 some odd thousand sitting out there, and that would be free in the name. But the rest of it,
From a broader perspective, looking at the town, its budget, its reserves, so on and so forth. If you think about the fact that the reserves, 19 years ago, you mentioned, at 200,000,
that was a deficit.
okay. I'm not gonna sit here and pick weeks and out, whatever, but whatever the number was, compared to what the current amount is, speaks volumes about the management of the funds in the interim. And with that knowledge going into the next year's budget, it's something that keeps in mind. So I think about it. It's a pretty good track record.
I would agree with you. We're in a good position, but I want to think that we stand what we do.
So we got to where we are.
Well, we got to where we are by spending less than what we thought.
Well,
I don't want to see us spend at least what we thought. And honestly, Troy's budget is this. Without the reason we were at it was very conservative, and this year we find out we were spending.
so there's no likelihood of that happening again. It's pretty likely, probably pretty likely. It's not a guarantee that there's always unexpected events that come along.
So,
Beyond anybody's control.
so if no one disagrees. You know, Troy, bring us the budget with the wages you want to propose. To make it balanced.
Well, I appreciate this conversation because after this, Nick, I want to point this out. I don't want to have this conversation again. Next year, we need to have the polar merit assessment and do a comparable. And somebody like, for example, I'm on the day with her, tries to go crazy with it, but that's what you talk about, but be comparable with the majority of the people. That's my thing. This year, I'm just supposed to just get caught up with what they call research in the range of the ballpark, and then go from there. And the budget I'm proposing won't handle that. Here's the will. Great, one of the things that,
As a side note, something I find amusing. If I do that election, just how few folks tomorrow, I get a kick, I'm amused by, we're gonna enact this. And next year, some other small towns, look what Platteville did, and they're gonna hammer the board. I'm not criticizing it, it's just confusing, so this is how they get it played.
Well, and I.
But there's nothing,
I do understand it. That's by 1,000 credits. The one thing that don't, I'm caught up with
right. To take a quick break, get back in here and finish up our meeting.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
I'll see
Ronnie.
you tomorrow, court. Yay.
Yeah.